Greetings, St. Paul's Church. I'm in New York City for some committee meetings, and we got a short break, so I'm here on the Upper West Side. I read a devotional today online on Our Daily Bread, and the one for today had a key verse from Romans 5, chapter 3, in which St. Paul says in the King James Version, "We rejoice in tribulation." We rejoice in tribulation. And the devotional goes on to explain how tribulation, hardship, struggle, it's actually really good for us. And reading the devotional, it kind of broke my heart because it shared a really well-known and famous sermon illustration that I've been hearing for decades, and I've even used it. And then at the end of the story it said, oh, that sermon illustration is false. It's actually not true. It's not scientifically true. But the story is so inspiring. I would say stop me if you've heard this one before, but you can't. So let me just share it. And here's the famous story. There's a young boy who was gifted a caterpillar that went through the stage of becoming a larvae, and then a cocoon, and then it was breaking out of the cocoon to become a beautiful butterfly. But the young boy had so much compassion seeing it struggle that he ripped open the cocoon, and then the butterfly fell to the ground and died. Oh, this is a somewhat well-known hot dog place, Gray's Papaya. Anyways, so the butterfly dies, and he learns later that he needed to let the butterfly struggle on its own and develop the muscles and the strength in its arms and wings so that it could fly. But he provided the shortcut, and that's why the butterfly could never develop the strength and the character to fly away, so it fell to the ground and died. You know, even though it might not be scientifically true, it's a great example of how in life, a lot of times we start off as these slimy little caterpillars, which gets even worse before it gets better. You turn into a larvae that's even uglier than the caterpillar. And then you turn into that hardened cocoon that looks like it's not going anywhere. And then finally, when you break out of the cocoon, you have these beautiful wings that are not just beautiful in form, but also in function. You can fly away like a butterfly. What a beautiful transformation of life. But here's part of that story is if you take the shortcuts and you try to skip the hardships, it's going to lead to failure. You know, this winter of 2026 with the record cold, the record snowfalls, it was so unpleasant. You know, this morning I had to drive here so early to get to my committee meeting on time, and it was raining so hard this morning. Like the flooding on the West Side Highway, it was outrageous. And you know, you and I, we face these hardships, tribulations, if you will, massive inconvenience and uncomfortableness in our lives. And I'm so confident that so many times experiencing those things in our lives is actually better for us, and it's gonna build our character and lead to blessing. And so I just want to encourage you, you know, when Romans 5:3 says we rejoice in tribulation. try to find a way to turn the situation. Try to find a way to turn the situation around. When that tribulation, when that hardship enters your life, allow God to take that situation and literally turn it around. They say that the darkest hour is right before sunrise. And consider how that darkest hour in your life can be transformed into your greatest victory. You just have to hang in there through the discomfort, through the pain, and through the tribulation. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and looking forward to seeing you on Sunday.